You got it. What's up, y'all? Welcome back to your Truth About Him podcast, #1 podcast for men's mental health. I am Anthony.
I'm Baron.
So welcome to the podcast. Welcome back. We know you missed us, so we're back. We're back. So as always, B, how was your week, my bro?
You know, it was a week where have you ever had one of those weeks where you line up certain things you want to get done, and then maybe you don't get any of that done, so you don't feel like damn, I didn't get nothing done, but you go back to what your purpose was, so you realize that you fulfilled your purpose this week. So I'm in that week where maybe I didn't get as much done as I wanted to get done, but I lived in my purpose this week. So I would say it's been a good week so far.
That stuff happens.
And you just gotta kind of check yourself mentally and not get too focused on where you want to go, and more so where are you now, and live in that moment. So I'm learning, bro. I'm learning.
We all are. You have a long list of to-dos. Sometimes we don't get them done. You get down on yourself, or you think that you didn't accomplish anything. But it's just about being consistent every single day. And I was taught a long time in sales training is that you just get 1% better every single day, and then you do that, you're far ahead of anybody else who's not doing that, right?
So it's that compound effect.
Yep. So Darren Hardy, great book. Great book. I read it twice. So today, interesting topic. I think everything we do is interesting, but it's something that is needed for us men, and we're talking about overcoming self-doubt.
Overcoming self-doubt, yes.
We all have it.
We all have it. We all go through it. So it's just a matter, and you know what? It's not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I think that it's something that it's always. It's like we're sharpening the iron for ourselves. Like we want to do better. We have expectations for ourselves that we want to feel, and sometimes those expectations are so high that we don't feel that we can attain them, or we don't even feel that we deserve to attain them. And and then so it's just just being aware of where you are, and not getting too down on yourself, because it's gonna happen. It's just you just can't stay there. So we're gonna unpack some things about self-doubt today, where where is it possibly rooted in, and things of that nature, and how are some coping skills to deal with it. So
you talk about being aware, and it's interesting how you become self-aware, because you don't know what you don't know.
True.
Right? And that self-awareness is like I can't really think or remember on when I became self-aware, or when I became, I want to say when I became self-aware, I don't know, but if I didn't know what I didn't know, how did I know? All right?
It's ongoing.
It's ongoing.
You should never stop being self-aware, because you grow every day.
How do you become self-aware?
I think it's just,
if you don't know.
If you don't know, I think it's just through repetition. It's through maybe discussing things with people. This is why we have this platform, is so we can bounce things off of each other, to gain different perspectives, and to understand, maybe there's another answer that I haven't yet to think about. Hell, you just gave me different perspective yesterday that I didn't think about, that I applied today. So it's having that self-aware. I was so wrapped up in the protection of a family that I didn't realize what I'm here to do, and what I'm here to do. It should have. You reminded me of what I should have done, and
it was still protection, but it just came like a different approach, a different form.
From a different form, and I swear I never even thought about it until you mentioned it to me, and it was just like lights turning on. So self-awareness is ongoing. It's every day. It's hourly. You don't know what you don't know, but when you know, what is your response to knowing? Are you going to do better? Because when you know better, you should do better. All
right. So let's get into and talk about where self-doubt comes from. Right. So I don't really know where it comes from. Or I guess I know where it stems from. So it stems from from my perspective, like a lack of confidence in yourself and your abilities. And really, it's a lack of self-awareness, right? We'll keep going back to. And really not believing that you can achieve certain goals, certain things, be this person.
Right.
And you doubt yourself. And do you see doubt as a main thing, as lack of confidence?
You know, it can be, here's the thing, it could be a lack of confidence if you don't ask this simple question: why?
Why what?
Why? So, you know, and you say, I may not be able to do this, or I might not, I'm not able to attain this. I don't feel I should be able to reach that particular goal. Then my question is why? Why don't you feel you can reach that? Is it a monetary thing? Is it a status thing? Is it a worth thing? Do you think that, you know, you're not smart enough or good enough? Then that's going into knowledge of self. Now you're devaluing yourself, because no one man is greater than the other.
Yeah.
You know, so you have to, you know, ask the question why. Asking yourself why and being honest with yourself is part of self-doubt. But the self-confidence part, that's where it comes from. Like, some people are scared to ask themselves why, because of that self-confidence. And if it's a self-confidence thing where you don't feel confident enough, then let's set some goals to where you are confident. You know, you start building that confidence slowly but surely. Let's set small goals that lead you to that step where you want to go.
Yeah.
Because then, you know, it's not about how many, you know, to get to from point A to point B. It's not about how big a step you take. It's just take the step. You know, however small it is, it's one step more than you took. So,
and it's something that I just realized, and I think it's true. It's like I'll say 99.9% of all self-doubt comes before you actually take the action.
yeah.
Because if you took the action, I don't think you would doubt yourself. So we doubt our abilities, we doubt who we are, we doubt what we can do, what we can achieve before we even go out there and achieve it, right? And that's where the fear comes in, right? False evidence appearing real.
Right.
Right? And we get so afraid of things that we didn't even try.
Breaking through that fear, I think that is the difference between a successful person, and success is a relative term, but we're going to, for the sake of this conversation, success.
Yeah.
The difference between successful people and non-successful people is their ability to go through that fear, is their ability to, we all have self-doubt, but what is our reaction to self-doubt? Yeah. That's the thing. Is it going to cause us to, you know, miss out on things? Is it going to cause us to procrastinate? Or is it, you know, going to say, yeah, I doubt myself, but what's the worst that can happen if I try? I got to at least try to know I can't do anything. You know, you have to at least try. So, you know, I've heard this when I was younger: nothing beats a fail but a try. You ever heard that? I heard my grandmother used to tell me, nothing beats a fail but a try. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And then the older you get, you realize some of the pearls that was dropped in your ear when you were younger. So you have to at least try, because like we said, self-doubt's not going anywhere. Yeah. But how we respond to self-doubt is what we can control. Yeah. So
you made a good point. And we were talking about the Tyreek Hill incident a little earlier. Because even on that level where he is, he has some self-doubt, right? Because in the video, when he was getting released from the cuffs, he said, "Man, I'm going home." He was headed to the game, right?
Headed to the game. He was at work.
He was at work, and that experience gave him a little bit of self-doubt. Said, "I'm going home."
Right.
He ended up not going home and playing that night, but
balled out.
Yeah. But it's the recovery from that self-doubt, the recovery from that fear, the recovery from that frustration, because it's going to come, it's going to happen. It's a part of being a man, it's a part of being a human, it's part of living.
Exactly.
So then the self-doubt, before that, the limited beliefs that you have create your self-doubt, right? And limited beliefs come from your self-talk. You know, how do you talk to yourself? How do you see yourself? Because energy is energy. The same energy it takes to to speak negative, you can reverse that and speak positive.
Same
to yourself,
amount of energy,
right?
yeah.
Same energy.
Yep.
One is detrimental, of course, but the other one builds. But like, you know, I can't, you know, I shouldn't, you know, I'm ugly, I'm too big, you know, I'm too whatever, right? And this podcast was a birth of self-doubt, right? This podcast wouldn't happen if I didn't overcome my self-doubt, right? So a really big thing for me, you know, a podcast, you gotta speak, right? When you teach, you speak. When, you know, we speak to men all the time.
Right. Yep.
When I grew up, I had a very bad stutter, right? And that transitioned a little bit into adulthood, and I was so afraid to speak and talk because I had self-doubt that I'm gonna be made fun of because of how I speak, right? But then I'm like, you know what? It's about my message, right? And that's my example of having self-doubt, because you know what? I can't talk. You know, you talk fast. You know, you this, you that. You know, no one's gonna understand what you're saying. But I had to overcome that self-doubt because I knew I had a message, right?
Right. And nobody's going to tell it.
Yeah.
You know, who's going to tell it if you don't?
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah, but most people stay stuck in that self-doubt.
Yeah.
They stay buried in it. They stay, it's their quicksand.
Yeah.
Right? And they don't overcome it. It's just fear. But it's like, how do we get through that and push through that and like share you with the people who need you?
You know, sometimes it's our own responsibility to try to push through that.
Yeah.
But sometimes we need help. Sometimes we need, you know, the help of someone with like-minded people. You need to have people who are in your life to input things into your life, to make deposits into your life. You know, not everybody in your life should be withdrawals. You know, they should be people that should be able to edify you and support you when need be. And that support is not necessarily a monetary support. Sometimes it's having an extra ear or just sitting down listening and saying, man, you got this, you know, and sometimes holding a mirror up to them, you know, why? Why do you feel this way?
Yeah.
Because I didn't see that. I don't see that. Yeah. You know, they teach us, like I was terrified of public speaking. Pretty much. I cannot remember not being terrified of public speaking. And I went to college. You got a public speak. I avoided speech classes. I avoided anything that dealt with, you know, speaking in front of people. And when I got to college, it was like, okay, every 4 weeks we're gonna do a presentation. Like, wow. I'm like, whoa. So I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do this. And speaking to one of my professors about it, he was like, well, why? Just why? So I'm afraid I'm gonna mess up. I'm afraid my PowerPoint's not gonna look right. I'm afraid that, you know, I may mess up on a presentation, or I may something's gonna happen. He said, how are your audience going to know if you don't tell them? Push through it. So that, in essence, was almost like like a basketball coach for me, an athletic coach for me. Push through it. And then because as long as you're organized and you're prepared, then just be confident in your preparation and let the rest handle itself. Yeah. When you do that and you're confident in what you do, I think that's half the battle. Yeah. And ever since when I stopped caring about messing up, that's what it was. When I stopped caring, and if I messed up, I messed up. I would say y'all never knew it. Yeah. You know, so it was just a thing of being confident in what you do. And the more and more I did it, the better and better I got. It's like riding a bike. You know, it's like with practice, you have to not be afraid to immerse yourself in something that you don't know. Yeah. You know, so that you can gain the knowledge and gain the wisdom and not be afraid to answer questions, not be afraid to let your ego keep you from growing. Because we as men, we kind of like not necessarily want to ask questions, and especially from other men, because, you know, our ego, we all want to be the teacher and we don't necessarily want to be the student. And sometimes we have to be the student to grow.
Most of the time.
You know?
Yeah, most of the time.
Most of the time he's right. Yeah. I try to be the nice person. You know?
Yeah. A mentor told me a while back, we're talking about fear. It's like, well, it's something simple. Like, what's the cure for fear? Right? The cure for fear is action. Do it anyway. Right? You're scared. Do it anyway.
Exactly.
And I've had to overcome so much self-doubt, so much fear, just in life. I think for me, it's like an everyday battle, right?
Absolutely.
Every day you got to overcome something. Every day you feel some sort of inadequacy about who you are, what you've done.
Especially if you set personal goals for yourself.
Right.
You know,
is a podcast good enough? Do we have the right equipment? Are we saying the right things? Do I sound stupid?
Are people actually listening? Are we actually pouring into people?
Right.
You know,
right.
You know, are we effective?
Are we effective?
You know,
so it's natural, right? But what's also natural is for our ability to overcome our self-doubt. You know, to overcome our thinking. So the only reason that other people are at certain levels, the only reason people are at certain levels, other people is their mindset, right?
Yeah. Yep.
It's a mindset, is that they think at a higher level, right? They know that they can overcome certain adversities and certain battles and certain things they go through. Let me ask you this, society, right? Do you think our current society, meetings, media, people, parents, is self-doubt more promoted, or you can do it despite the fear more promoted?
I think it's about the person who's looking at it. Just because it's out there, doesn't mean you personally have to compare yourself.
But what's being promoted though?
Oh, well, they promote. Now see, that's the thing. They promote, you should be this way. You should do this. You should do that. They do that a lot. And we all see it. We see it all the time. But my perspective on that is that's good for whoever that is. Yeah. But that might not work for me. You know, there's an old saying, stay in your lane because there's no traffic in it. Mm-hmm. It's easier to stay in your lane. Right. You know, if you stay in your lane, there's no traffic in your lane. When you start looking about what other people are doing and you stay focused on what other people are doing, you tend to veer out of your lane. That can cause you multi-car collisions. That can cause a lot of accidents. That can cause you wear and tear on your car. And these are metaphors, but when you focus on things that are not in your lane, when you focus on things that you can't control, you get distracted. You know, you can look at that and be like, that's nice. I might incorporate that in my lane somehow, some way, bits and pieces. That's life. That's what, we should all strive to be better than where we are. You know, we should all want that. But at no means should you compare your life to someone else's, and vice versa. No one can compare their life to you because they don't know the trials you went through to get to where you are. They don't know what you had to do to get to. Everybody wants Steph Curry's shot, but they don't see the work Steph Curry put in. You know, so don't compare yourself to other people without knowing their struggle, without knowing, the adversity, the hours, the people that poured into them, the times that they may have wanted to give up and quit. So you don't buy into what you see unless it can. I don't buy into anything that I see unless I know it can benefit my soul somehow, some way. If it's not that, then it's just strictly pure entertainment, and it's through one ear and out the other. So it's just about, the world is going to put a lot of stuff out there. It's up to you to navigate that and apply that to your life or not.
You talked about staying in your lane, and a lot of times when we're in our lane, we focus on the problem, right? And an example, I was told, and I actually tried this, right? It's like, if you're driving down the street and you see a pothole, if you focus on not hitting the pothole, you're going to hit the pothole, right? Because you're focusing on the problem, and that shit is true, right? I'm like, okay, I'm gonna hit the pothole, boom, let's hit the pothole. You gotta focus on what's beside the smooth road.
How to navigate around.
Yeah, but if you focus on a problem, 9 times out of 10, you're going to hit that problem. Right. So it's really all how you focus. What you focus on becomes who you are. Right. And a lot of times our limited belief, our self-doubt comes from past experiences, right? Our past experiences shape our today, shape our tomorrow. And it should in certain situations, certain way, but if it's building you towards success. But if it's keeping you back and keeping you from achieving your goals, I think that's something that we need to work on, is dictating what our past experiences do for us. Right? That makes sense?
Yeah, definitely. And our past experience, like you said, they shape and mold our decisions that we make. They shape and mold our parenting skills.
Yeah.
But like we said earlier, self-awareness, and that's constant. Yeah. That's constant evolving. So we should be constantly evolving. It's good to have our base, our foundation, but we still have to maintain a sense of where we are right now. And maybe there's certain things that we did in the 90s that maybe we can't do now.
Right.
You can't. When was the last time you called the movie theater to see what time? You know what I'm saying?
I forgot we did that.
No, here you go. When was the last time you called the time? Remember we used to call the time?
Yeah.
Yeah, when was the last time we did that? We don't do that.
Call 411?
Yeah, exactly. We don't do that. So,
give the number to the churches on the corner of La Brea. And,
one moment, please.
Right. Right. Crazy.
So, evolve. Everything's evolving. We evolve. So, it's good to have a base foundation, but it's also good to evolve on top of that to make sure that you are ahead of the times, that you are not being lost in opportunities that may present, because certain opportunities that present themselves in 2024, i.e. this podcast, right. We didn't have this in the 90s.
Right.
We just sat on the couch and talk shit whenever we was, just sat there, and,
Right.
But now it's a way to generate your message and push the message out to the masses.
Yeah.
So, we had to evolve into that. If we were saying, I don't do. It's those, I don't do the social media.
Yeah.
I don't do that. Well,
you get left behind.
Right. And now you're angry and bitter.
Right.
Do you want to become that person, or do you want to evolve? And honestly, thank God for kids, because they help us,
right.
Stay current. There's a lot of stuff I listen to that I would have never listened to if it hadn't been for my son. So,
we are the last generation, you and I, that grew up without social media.
I think so, yeah.
We are. We're the last generation.
Without social media, yep, that's right. That's right.
Yep, it's just us. So everyone after us, so basically we are immigrants into social media, right? We are. So the kids, like your son and my kids, it's their native tongue, right?
Yeah, it's like nothing.
There's no life without that, right? So these are past experiences. You either get aboard, get left behind, hop on a train, or you're done. And honestly, it really depends on what you want to achieve in your life, right? A lot of people want to achieve greatness, great things, but it's just putting in I think the past experiences of their life and what they've done really limits them on achieving their goals, because they think, this is too much. It's too hard. I don't have the whatever for this, right? But your past is your past. Let it stay there, right? Learn from it, right? If you didn't have the certain skills to do, I didn't always have podcasting skills. Neither did you, right? But we had to learn, right?
Still learning.
Had to learn and bring in help, from a native, your son, as far as this is what we should and shouldn't do. As far as the growth, it's like we come together. We come together and we build, because we can't just let our past experiences dictate how we're going to live our life. Because if we do, we're going to stay stuck in that and never evolve into the people that we want to be.
I think that's a valid point. We have to embrace the future, and not shun the future. Mm-hmm. We should embrace the future, just like I try not to be that parent. What kind of music is that? What do you? Yeah. That sounds like trash. I try not to be that parent.
But you think it?
But sometimes I say it too. I definitely sometimes say it, but I try to be open. because I try to embrace the future, and the future, you know, whether it's music or whether it's, you know, news or whether it's social media, I try to embrace it, and I try to, you know, everybody has their own race that they run. Everybody doesn't move at the same pace, you know, but they can move what's correct for them, you know, so I never get caught up with trying to move as fast as the next man. I just try to keep up with my own pace and move correct. So, yeah, you have to embrace the future. You have to not so much hold on to the past where you shun the future and then you stay stuck in whatever, you know, generation you are. Because if you get, phones are going, you're supposed to change phones almost every year, you know? So what does that look like if I don't want to change phones? What happens then? You know, phones just run slow. You know, you lose certain features. So you kind of have to embrace the future, because if not, you're stuck in like this time warp that you'll never get out of, and then your success, your options, they pass you by because of lack of knowledge of, or ignorance, for lack of a better word. You know,
it's a tap back in to fear a little bit, right? Fear is a mother, right? Fear puts people in early graves. Fear keeps people from achieving their goals, giving their gifts to the world. You know, not writing that book, not making that movie, not starting that business, not whatever, right? It's fear. Fear of failing is something that, you know, as a man, I've experienced. You know, I didn't take certain steps. You know, I didn't take certain actions because I was so afraid that I would fail, right? And growing up, we have a lot of chatter in our ears, right? From our friends, from our family, from TV, media, movies, whatever, telling us that we are lacking something, or what we have is not enough. If you really dissect and break down a commercial, say it's a Tide commercial, right? Tide detergent. They're telling you that you need this Tide because what you have is not good enough.
It's not good
right?
enough. Yep.
It's all subconscious programming, right? Everything that we watch, every commercial, just look, what you have is not good enough, so you need this. And even though we don't realize it, it's going into our subconscious mind, and every step we want to take as far as being positive, being productive, building, it stops us because we are so afraid to fail. But not knowing failure makes you a champion. So failure gets you closer to your goal, and failure makes you a champion. Look at Michael Jordan, right? He says, I'm celebrated for all of my game-winning shots, right? But I miss most of my game-winning shots. You know, most of the time I failed, and my failure made me a champion, right? That was his commercial, and I'll try to link it up down there if I can, but he did a commercial about that, how his failure made him a champion. And I think that, I know it's tough, but we have to look at failures as something that's building us versus holding us back. I mean, it can hold us back if we allow it to, but failure is something that makes us better, because now we learned how not to do it.
That's a good point. You're true. Yeah, it's a valid point with failure. But if you go back to grade school, you know, you try so hard. When you got that F, fail. You know, there's something about that word. You fail. You know, if your significant other calls you a failure, just imagine how that cuts to hear. So that plays into our fear. We don't want to fail. We don't want to fail. We have too many people to take care of. We have too much at stake. I can't afford to take that risk. I can't afford to fail. I've worked so hard to get to where I am right now. This is enough for me right now. I'm comfortable right now. I don't want to persevere. I don't want to see what's on the other side, because what if it's not where I'm at now? What if it's less than what? I can't deal with that. I can't deal with failure in that way. And this is me talking to myself. You know, you get comfortable. You know how many times that I wanted to do my own business, and because I was scared to step out on my own, I stayed where I was at because I was successful in my head of where I was. I climbed from the bottom all the way to where I am right now. I've reached the goal that I wanted to get to, so this is it for me. And I don't want to step out on my, I'd rather be, I'd rather have my vacation days dictated to me. I'd rather live my life off of an alarm clock because everybody's taken care of. I'm fine. Everybody's good. I have no desire to do anything, but that is a dream deferred. Like my message, I had to stop. I had to take that jump because I was tired of, the questioning myself there. Once you stay in a situation you don't want to be in, ultimately you become resentful and you become unhappy. Everything about where you're at annoys the hell out of you. So you don't want to do it. So now you're not giving 100% of yourself while you're there. Things fall between the cracks. You care less and less about certain things because you don't want to be there in the first place. So that's the opposite side of not going through that fear, and that's the opposite side of staying stagnant and staying where you are. Is because you can grow weary of where you are because you could do better, but you choose not to do better. So that's frustrating. So you make the decision, you make the choice to stay where you at, or break through that frustration somehow, some way.
How can we learn from fear?
No matter, first off, you have to recognize it. You definitely have to recognize it. You spoke about it, your public speaking, both of our public speaking, we had fear of public speaking. And we broke through that fear. That fear is the other side of it. We broke through that. So now, if you think about how many things have you accomplished that you were fearful of? Like,
a lot.
I never thought I'd have a house. I never thought I'd own a house. I thought I'd rent forever. I wanted salary at one point because I was like, okay, this is what I want. I want a salary. I want a salary position. I don't want to clock in. And that was at the top of my list. If I get there, I'm great. And once you get there, you're like, any smart person, you push the needle. If I made it right here, I can make it here. If I made it here, I can go here. So that's where you should always be striving to do better. And I think when you take small steps and you overcome them, you're learning from fear, you're overcoming fear, and then you're gaining momentum. You're compound effecting. You're the compound effect. You're going smaller increments of growth, and then you conquer that, and then you move on. If I can't do it, why can't I do it? Why? I can't fly a helicopter. But
you can learn.
I can learn. But I may have to get over that fear first of getting in that helicopter. So these are things that you have to acknowledge. That if you do, me getting in the helicopter and learning how to fly a helicopter, I'm overcoming so many other fears. I'm learning how to fly a helicopter, but I'm in a helicopter. That's a fear of mine. I don't really, So you overcome and acknowledging that you've overcome it. What's next?
And I think you also learn so much from the ones who came before you.
I think you should,
because there are so many people who came before you who have conquered certain fears, who have conquered your fear. One of my biggest challenges growing up as a man is thinking that I was the only person that was going through that situation at that time. I was the only person who had those fears, those doubts. But you learn that you're not. You learn that how you feel, that fear, that doubt is something that a lot of people go through, right? So if you study the people of the past or the people who have overcome certain things, you look and see how they did it, right? And success leaves clues, right? If this person successfully overcame the fear of whatever, look at how they did it. Because most people will leave you your cliff notes, will leave you a story behind. Like this podcast is a story that people can look at for years to come, right? For generations, and to see, okay, you know what? I had this fear, but these guys were talking about how to overcome certain fears, and they said, look at the people who came before me, right? And see how they did it. So we're going to leave clues. We're going to leave, videos and books and recordings on how you can do certain things. And I challenge and encourage everybody, watching is to just start to look, start to investigate, start to explore, start to research, because the answers are out there. You just have to open your eyes and your ears in a book. I mean, if you can look on TikTok for the latest trending dance, you can figure out how to overcome depression or anxiety or whatever. It's there.
Exactly.
Right? Especially now with AI, it's all there. So right now there's no excuse but the one that you make up constantly.
And even then, you can Google that. Why am I making up so many excuses? Because you procrastinated. So it's just a matter of, do you want to? Do you want to overcome?
Yeah.
Do you want to get better? Do you want to succeed? These are real questions. Like, these aren't sarcastic questions. These are, people say they want X, Y, Z, but do they want to do the work to do it? That's the real question.
Right.
And if you want to do the work to do it, then you'll do better.
Yeah.
You'll do better, podcasts are good informational sources. Books are definitely good informational sources. I said it before, surrounding yourself with like-minded people, people who can support you is a great source. People who you can be vulnerable with and express your fears to, and they won't target and weaponize it against you. They will go ahead and support you in that matter. But these are the things, and then you always look to do the same for people. Always look, if you have friends, always look to be a supportive friend. Always look to pour into that friend, because you never know when they need it. You never know when a person needs a good word, a kind word. So it's something I am aggressively working on to basically let the people around me know how grateful I am with them, because it's important that you let these people know, because there may be a time where you might really, really need them, and vice versa. They feel more comfortable with you. So you definitely, that's growth. You growing through your self-doubt, growing through your self-fear, and knowing that it's not going anywhere, and try to get through it however you can positively, and just making sure that your intentions are good. And don't limit yourself. We can't limit ourselves.
How many times people with self-doubt say that I know that, I know that, versus no, I just don't know. So have you noticed that people who really are in fear or lacking the courage and knowledge to do something, their default is I know, when they really don't know?
And that will tell on themselves right there. That if a person says I know all the time, and you have self-doubt, that you can't do both. You can't know and then be a victim at the same time. How does that work? Either you, like you said, you know what you don't know. It's a lot we don't know. But not. And here's the question: does that come from ego too? Does it come from the ability to, I don't want my ego to be bruised. I want to seem knowledgeable, so I'm going to say I know about everything, because that makes me
appear to be smart.
Smart?
Yeah, appear to be smart.
Right. I sarcastically say that it's smart. What's smart? What's smart? Because if a genius doesn't know how to put air in his tire, is he a dummy?
No.
It's perspective. And so, we got to be quick to, or not be so quick to say, you're smart. Does that mean I'm dumb? So instead of saying, that's an interesting perspective. Go into that a little bit,
I think you touched on being really accountable for who you are, for what you create, and everything around you. Just be accountable, because if you say that you know something you don't, that's really not being accountable.
No.
So just be, because accountability can take you a long way, right? Accountability can open your mind up to learning more and be around people who can actually teach you something, right? Because we all need teachers.
We just spoke on leadership.
Yeah, we did.
We just spoke on leadership, and the greatest leaders know that they're not the smartest person in the room.
Right.
The greatest leaders are always seeking perspective.
Yeah.
The greatest leaders are always looking to communicate and collaborate.
Right.
So
we do the same thing.
It ties, why they're leaders for a reason.
Right.
Because they know how to collaborate. They know how to get the team together and make the best decision for the team,
Yeah.
and operate on that.
Yeah, yeah.
You know.
Yeah, and I think that leads us into like talking about just having true mentors in your life, right? People that you, I don't even say that you trust, but people that can trust you to just allow them to speak into your life, right? Because we don't know what they know. We just see a vision of someone who's done something, but not sure how they got there. But we want to be a part of that. You know, if you're smart, you want to be a part of that, right? But just really seeking out people who can speak into your life, who can show you the way, and who can just bring you along. They can fast track your journey, right? Compress time and like get you there a lot faster. That's what your mentor does. They get you there faster than you could have because they've already traveled the road. They know the bumps, the bruises, the hurdles, the caves, the shortcuts. In a sense, they know. Right?
Exactly.
So that's why you have good mentors in your life.
I mean, that's what I do for a living. It's
Yeah.
what I actually strive to do. That is my purpose, and I equate it to. Then you have two type of clients. The first client is the one that you sit down and says, "Well, I don't feel that I don't need to pay to talk to you. I don't feel that I have to pay to talk to you.
Yeah.
Nothing that you can tell me is worth me paying you." I've heard that from clients of mine, and I tell them, "You're exactly right. You're absolutely right. You do not need me. You do not need any conversations or communications with me. I don't add value to your life." Because I say that because of this. My job is to be your GPS.
Yeah.
And if you are smart enough to get to where you need to get to without using your GPS, then kudos to you.
Yeah.
I don't go anywhere without using my GPS. I want to know how the traffic is. I want to know if there's road closures. I want to know if there's police traps.
Even if you know the way, you still
Even if I know the way. Okay. Even if I know the way, I want to know if there's a faster route.
Yeah.
And it gives me the option to take it or not. And that's what I tell clients that I come across is you know where you want to go, but do you know how to get there?
Right.
And most times the answers are no, because of multitude of things. It could be self-doubt. It could be past traumas. It could be just a lack of life discipline. All of these things are crucial parts. And I have clients that deal with all three, everything, plus more. But you have to, it's an investment. A mentor invests themselves into your life. A mentor is there to help you be successful. A mentor is there to help you create your legacy, to be great, to be better than you are. It's to hold that mirror up to your face and to tell you why and to hold you accountable when at times you don't hold yourself accountable. Yeah. Sometimes we think we can only reach this level, and we know we have the potential to reach higher, yet we don't believe it. So our mentor is there to say why. Why don't you believe it? Yeah. What's holding you back from believing that? If it's nothing, then let's work on that quote unquote nothing, because I believe you can be great. I want you to be better than you were yesterday. Yeah. That's all I want. Yeah. So that's what the purpose for me in their lives are. I won't sit down with you if you come to a meeting and if you're late, if you look like you just woke up out of bed, I'll tell you. You look like you just woke up, you're not ready for this meeting. Yeah. So I'll see you next week and make sure you look a certain way, because you are your legacy. Mm-hmm. So how do you look when you walk out? You're a representation of you. Yeah. I can't take you seriously if you look like you just woke up and you're picking at your hair and you're all tethered up and you got house shoes on and it's 4:00 in the afternoon. I don't, where you been? Yeah. What have you done with yourself all day? This is how these are things that you hold people accountable for, so that when they go into the world, they hold themselves accountable. They hold themselves a certain way because that's what I'm used to. Yeah. Yeah. So mentors are important, and especially nowadays, you have the self-doubt. Mm-hmm. You have people who don't believe that they're worth doing things on their own because maybe they're accustomed to their spouse doing everything for them. Mm-hmm. And now, the separation of spouse now your value,
Yeah.
you don't seem like you're as valuable. You don't seem like you can live or do or
Right.
move without him.
Right.
These are clients that I have. These are the ones that I'm telling them you can do. You were great before that person.
Yeah.
You know, now you're here and you've had this life, and there's other side of that now. Just get back to who you were. Find your happy.
Find
you
your
know,
happy.
you got to find your happy.
Yeah.
So I encourage all you guys, if you don't have a mentor, get a mentor in your life, because it's easier with a mentor. Your GPS is there. They're there. It's easier to find out where the potholes and pitfalls are in the world. So, you know, mentors are important, and you can find them anywhere. It's just honesty is a real big key, though. You know, you have to be honest with yourself in order to get the help and to get to strive to where you want to be. You got to know where you are realistically.
Yeah, and a good mentor is going to squeeze you. You know, it's going to make you a bit uncomfortable.
Yep.
Possibly a little bit mad, but you know, they tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear.
Exactly.
And that's the big thing. And like what you need to hear is what allows you to grow into who you want to be. Right? You have to be uncomfortable with being uncomfortable. You have to be. Only if you want to achieve goals, you know, only once you want to be in like the next percent, the next level up, you know, you can be uncomfortable.
If you want to be great, I mean, even when you grow, you know, when you put a seed in the ground and you water it, you want to hope that it grows.
Yeah.
But in order for it to grow, it's got to break the soil.
Yeah.
You know, it's got to break the soil. So going through that soil ain't easy.
Yeah.
You know, you got to break through that soil of fear and become a great plant or flower. You know, you got to be able to go through that, break that through that wall of fear, and it's not easy. Yeah. And sometimes that wall sits there, and it's not easy for us to break through it. We're all human. Okay. And sometimes we have it, and where it's definitely harder for some than others. I get it. I completely understand it, but we don't have to stay there. You don't have to stay in that cycle of self-doubt and self-fear. You're greater than what you think you are, you know.
Perfect.
Yep.
What else you got for us?
Strive to be better, bro. We just strive to be better every day. Be better tomorrow than you were today, and don't worry about yesterday, you know. That's pretty much it. I think we should do a part 2.
Yeah, definitely.
We definitely should do a part 2.
Yeah, it's a part 2.
Part 2 is coming.
Guys, as always, thank you for giving us your time. Thank you for giving us your eyes and your ears. Share this podcast with people who you love. So our goal is to help men, the ones who love them, learn about men's mental health and get through it. So thanks for watching Truth About Him. See you guys on the next episode. Peace.